Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Almira. I'm from SMA Kartika 21 Makassar. I'm here as the opposition side in motion as China. This house would aggressively intervene in the Israel and Palestine conflict. I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. First is I want to point out some rebuttal. First is the claim that China can intervene with military or economically. I oppose this because this can cause more further conflict for the region and backlash to how China can be seen as aggression by international community, especially by the Israel and the US. This can also lead to creating a war between two countries, between China and Israel and China with US, two countries, and even wider war in the Middle East because some countries maybe team up or join in this war. And my second rebuttal is the claim that China can avoid its consequences, even when China is in high role in the global trade. In the global economy, China's depend heavily on the global trade, especially their economy. Especially in the country like in the continent like Europe and the US, this can harms to China's and causes a risk of their economy weakened and unstable. Of course, this is bad for China. And my third rebuttal is the claim that China becoming a global hero by intervening this war. It's not guaranteed that China going to be seen as the hero. It can also vice versa to China, that China's going to be have more worse a skeptical look by some countries because China is already looking skeptical by some countries. China can be seen that it only take advantage of this war by military or economically by trying to intervene, even when their truly intention is not like that. Taking advantage of the genocide by politically trying to be a hero. China can get blamed for worsening the conflict and ruin the global image. And China can ruin their global image even further. And my fourth rebuttal is the claim that this intervention will succeed by leading by Israel leading to ceasefire. Okay, now I want you to take a look to, for example, of the war in Iraq that US trying to intervene, or even the war in Syria that Russia trying to intervene. They all causes more longer conflict, not even succeeds anything, not even achieve anything. That is the proof. No strong reason to believe that China would be any different, would be a hero, or would leading to ceasefire, because maybe it's going to end up the same. And now moving on to my arguments. Right now, China support Palestine diplomatically, not military, and by this, China trying to avoid conflict with Israel and even the US to avoid further war. China already promote peace talks and even agreed to support calls for ceasefire. China also sent aids like medicine, food, and shelters, but staying neutral because other countries do that the same. Now moving on to my points. My main points or arguments is first is why China should not escalate or making this conflict worsen. First is if China now start to intervene military or economically in Israel-Palestine conflict, it can destroy its own global image or credibility, because again China can be seen as the country that trying to taking advantage of this conflict between Israel and Palestine, or the genocide in Gaza. And secondly is China always being a supporter and never intervene. So why China should intervene in this one too? If China know that it can cause us damage even further. And my second point is that it can hurt China's economy and relationship. Again, China highly depend on global trade, especially economic relationship with the US and the European countries. Fighting the US, meaning China willingly losing its money, its job, and even impacting back for the Chinese people and their business because of this intervene. And it can cause us a drop, China's economic to drop, And my third argument is that this intervene may often fail. As what I just mentioned, this can fail by creates longer war, or even new more problems, new more mistakes, and some country who trying to intervene in a war, is the proof of this point, like what I just mentioned previously, the war in Syria that Russia trying to intervene is getting worse, or the war in Iran that US trying to intervene is also getting worse. What could happen? Next is, what could happen if China intervened? Firstly is the war between China's Israel and China's with USA. Of course, it would happen if China's trying to intervene. It's none of this business. And secondly, civilians in Gaza could die even more because of the fight getting worse in the Gaza. The genocide getting worse in Gaza because of China's trying to intervene, more innocent souls gone, and so on and so forth. And my third point, and thirdly, is more country turns against China in saying politically and economically. And fourth is, by China's economic being dropped because of the intervention of the war, more countries or people suffers because of it. Again, China is the biggest global, held the biggest role in global economy. And instead, the solution I could give is instead of war, China can work with UN to push for ceasefire instead of intervene further in this war. And my second solution is China can keep sending humanitarian aid to Gaza, like sending foods, medicine, shelters, needs for the woman in Gaza, and needs for the kids in Gaza, and so on and so forth, because other countries do that too. And my third solution is to keep it peacefully, without any intention to start any wars between those countries. Moving on to my conclusion, aggressive intervention by China can risk global war, damage to its economy, and harms more innocent people in Gaza. China still can intervene with its diplomacy to push ceasefire and international cooperation without trying to intervene. With all that being said, we proudly oppose this motion. Thank you so much. That's all.